Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom site's official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. My name is Orion, and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Carlos.
I'm still alive!
And Tyler.
Also still alive.
Today, we're reviewing the comics of March 2020 from the safety of our homes, quarantined from the coronavirus, including Venom number 24 and Scream Curse of Carnage number 5. So let's go ahead and start off with Venom number 24, part 4 of Venom Island. And I guess part 5 will be the final part. So next issue's final issue for that. To nobody's surprise here, the big cliffhanger at the end of the last issue was just a dream created by the Carnage symbiote when it finally took control of Eddie. Meanwhile, Dylan learns to remotely pilot the Venom symbiote to save his dad using his Codex powers and a piece of the Carnage symbiote left behind after the events of Absolute Carnage. So yeah, like we pretty much saw this coming. It's like, oh, that whole nuke the island thing, that's not real.
Yeah, I thought it was...
Aaron suggested that, and especially with the homage of the cover being ASM 280 something, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's like, here we go again with the whole false memories thing happening. It's like, okay, we've seen this play before by Donnie. It's like, all right, that's fine. Like,
still, I will admit that I really liked that scene with Cletus being the nurse with the Carnage blood bag or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Again, like Mark Bagley, again, like he knows how to draw Cletus really well. And like I honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be a complete like nightmare that he was having. So, you know, he actually got caught by the Grendel symbiote, and now he's being possessed by the symbiote. And, he still has his hand still cut off. It was pretty much a mind trip, and it was a really well drawn out plot there. So
yeah, but
and then we got Red Venom.
Yep.
Yeah, we finally get Red Venom, actual Red Venom, where it's just Eddie Brock bonded to the Carnage symbiote.
Just buff Carnage, pretty much.
So now we can really say that Eddie Brock is kind of the Holy Trinity plus. He was the father of, which is Venom, the son, Carnage, the grandson, Toxin, and the Holy Spirit, which is anti-Venom.
Anti-Venom, yeah.
Sounds like more of a square when you say it like that.
Yep.
Instead of a print.
The Holy Square.
Yeah. So also want to point out, like in this issue, it was kind of interesting to see like Dylan fully using his Codex powers to the fullest, because for what I could see, like he used that piece of the Carnage symbiote and he just opened a portal, which pretty much made him almost bond or connect with the Venom symbiote, right?
Yeah, because he was making his own mini hive or whatever. I guess. Like connecting to the hive, sort of.
Because when there was a panel in the comic where you see Venom, he starts morphing into a humanoid form, and it almost kind of looked like he had Dylan's haircut at one point. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he's got a little T-shirt as well.
Yeah. So I found that pretty interesting.
I wanted to talk about that portal a bit, because how do you guys feel about that? Because as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to be an actual portal, and I imagine he was sort of just like vacuum sealed on the other side of that, just like, because we don't think that's an actual portal, right? That's teleporting him, because I feel like that'd be stupid. That's stretching the symbiote powers a little much for my taste, if he is literally getting transported to another symbiote dimension.
Well, I kind of think back to Venomverse, but I think that was just explained that was Doctor Strange using the portals to transport all the Venoms, but I don't know.
It's not really fully explained. Like, when I first read it, I'm like, oh, so somehow he's going into Venom's mind or something, and he's just starting to bond with him, and then they end up choosing to become a T-Rex. So yeah.
I'm just imagining his physical body. What do you think is happening to his physical body? Is he going through this portal and just being like plastic wrapped on the other side while he's doing this mind connection, or is he going through this portal and literally disappearing from New York?
Hmm. Uh.
Because I don't love the idea that you just use symbiotes to just teleport now. That's just a little bit much for me.
I don't think. I
Yeah.
think I think this is just a visual representation of remote connection. I don't think this is him actually
That's
going
what I'm
into a
hoping for
portal.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just stretched this little piece of symbiote thin just to like immerse himself into it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then we got Venom T Rex and 616 baby.
Yeah.
He has a bit of a gut.
Oh,
Yeah, he fat.
This would, I mean, technically, this is in the 616. This is what the third T Rex I think we've seen technically, because we had Devil Dinosaur,
Yeah.
briefly have part of the Venom symbiote like around his head. Then we had Venomized Devil Dinosaur, so that was a different symbiote in Venomized, and now we have an actual Venom complete dinosaur. No actual dinosaur inside, but
It's just because of the imagination from Dylan that, he could be whatever he wants, so he just chose that form.
I wonder if we'll get some more crazy transformations next issue.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully we will probably get more explanation as to how Dylan's doing all this. Hopefully, so we'll have to wait and see for the 25th issue.
Yeah. But
But
it was.
I think the
It felt
Mark
like
Bagley still kills it
Yeah.
on
No,
this
he
issue.
definitely kills it. Yeah. But
I really like the look of the Carnage Grendel with
I
Eddie.
felt like this issue was a bit short. I don't know.
Well, I mean, granted, they do take a lot of pages to begin with for that dream sequence. That's probably why it felt shorter. Like let's count here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the last page, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so like half of the issue is just the dream sequence.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little drawn out.
But also, yeah, Mark Bailey, he did a really good job on that splash page drawing Null and him just drawing New York. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I guess another question I want to ask: how do you feel if this is basically the main Carnage symbiote going forward? Because I know some people have very mixed opinions on that, where it's like, oh, we want the true Carnage symbiote. But for me, like this thing, like they said, Cletus like affected this, and it basically is the Carnage symbiote now.
Yeah. Well, the main Carnage symbiote's dead, like dead. So.
Well, didn't we have that little portion from Alchemax that they have still?
Do they?
Technically,
I don't
yeah, because the one they got out of Normie or whatever.
Maybe.
We have our listener LT Carnage joining us on the podcast, and he says, I think it would work if they say the remnants of Cassidy's blood turned it into Carnage, so that could be a possibility. So
yeah, it's basically like there's basically no difference other than the little like asterisk they made last issue, where it's like technically it's Grendel symbiote, but it acts just like Carnage. So I'd be okay if this is the main Carnage symbiote going forward.
I feel like it's all gotten a bit convoluted.
in a sense, yeah, because they first they kill it, then they bring it back, and then there was one from some zone area, was it?
Negative zone.
Negative zone, yeah. But yeah, overall, this issue was good. Again, Mark Bagley's art always delivers, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the final story arc for Venom Island. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to the next story arc, but yeah.
Venom Beyond.
Yep.
But yep. All right then. I guess we can move on to our last comic, which is Scream: Curse of Carnage #5, the end of the series' first story arc. Here we get a conclusion to the truth behind the Beowulf story and Thor and Big Mother's climactic battle before returning to the present. The Scream symbiote once again saves Andy from imminent death in the bowels of Big Mother, and the pair finally make their escape from the surface, or to the surface. But Big Mother isn't done with them just yet, as she surfaces to pursue her quarry into Manhattan. I don't know, guys. I really look forward to these Scream books more each month now than the Venom books.
I'm right there with you. I adore this book.
This is a great series. Like, consistent.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, the first arc I really enjoyed, and Yeah, no, definitely this is a well written book. I will support this to how long it can last. So
I'll say I'll just start out with what my main negative I have for this first arc as a whole. I feel like it probably could have been one issue shorter. There was the fact that like 2 issues end sort of the same exact way, where Andy without the symbiote looks like she's about to die, and then
Yeah.
yep,
I feel like you could have combined like 3 and 4 together, because they both were doing the Thor setup in story, and then also Andy getting in trouble. So you probably could have shortened this whole thing by 1 issue. It was a little bit repetitive with Andy ending up the same thing and the Thor flashbacks.
Yeah.
But it's a minor complaint, really, because
Actually,
this book
I
was
agree.
still.
I do agree because I feel like the Thor story, the whole Beowulf thing, could have been a little bit shorter too. You know,
Because it was drawn out, what, around 3 issues? I mean, more than
yeah,
that, probably, if you count the original Null stuff, I think.
yeah. I feel like it didn't have to be stretched out for so many issues. I feel like, say, you have your first issue of Scream, which is her discovering Big Mother towards the end. Then the second issue is her first battle with Big Mother, and then Big Mother captures her or whatever. Then the third issue would be Big Mother's backstory into, oh, this is the truth behind the Beowulf legend. And then issue
Mm-hmm.
4 would have been the conclusion to this whole struggle. I felt like it could have been 4 issues, this arc.
yeah. For me, I wish that the Thor prologues were a little shorter because if to me it was kind of dragging out a little bit. And then also too with the whole thing, what was it? Issue 4, Scream gets separated, then rebonds, then gets separated again. And, that was just a little nitpick that I had. But everything else is great. This issue here was amazing. Clay Chapman, like the guy, he just knows how to write Andy and Scream, and he's a good writer in my book. So
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that through this whole arc, like, she's basically flipped her opinion on the symbiote. Like, at first she was like, I just need this to help me beat Carnage, and then in Absolute Carnage she did that. And then the start of this book, she started out, she did not like the symbiote at all. She thought it was like this part of her that she doesn't want, and she's just mopey because, well, I mean, granted, she's got a pretty good reason to get mopey, but yeah, and then at the end of this, the symbiote and her, like, we're family now, and she knows that, and I really thought that was a great character progression for her and the symbiote.
Yeah, I like the evolution of their relationship because it began with basically being forced together because Pat got killed and Carnage was going to
Patricia.
her.
Yeah, I was confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? Toxin was not in this book. I'm like, oh, Patricia. Like,
Patricia. There are two Pats. There are two Pats.
Yeah. 2 symbiotic host Pats.
Pat.
Pat.
But,
yeah, it's like she was kind of thrust into this relationship, and the beginning of this series was kind of dealing with that. It's like, okay, well, the objective was completed, Carnage is defeated, but now they're still stuck together, and she's really not feeling that. Like she's been away from her, like her relationship with the Mania symbiote kind of ended pretty crappily in the Funeral Pyre issue.
With the crappiest character of all.
Yeah, so it's like,
with
oh my
the
gosh.
Lee Price.
So it's like she's had a pretty bad run with symbiotes altogether, and so that's where she was coming from in the beginning of this series.
I will say, I guess even in that Funeral Pyre issue, even though you said that ended crappily, they did hint that it was trying to warn her. Like, this little inkling of her codex was trying to warn her about Carnage. So
Yeah.
it was trying to do that, even through horrific dreams and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I think, so generally, I've said that I like, I believe Gary Brown was the artist for the Thor parts, or am I messing that up? But no, Mooneyham. Mooneyham is the, no, I think I'm messing this up. I cannot remember which artist is which, but I feel like the guy who's doing the Thor ones is a bit stronger. But I will say that the artist who did the most of Andy's part of this issue, I feel like he does like the horror stuff really good, because Andy gets mangled up. Like, I expected her just to get swallowed and that she'd be just swallowed, whatever, in Big Mother's stomach. But no, friggin' Big Mother like chomps her and like breaks her bones and like like it was really sad seeing her in just this mangled form.
By the end, like she's still like saying like my ribs, I'm bruised, and the Scream symbiote's trying its best to heal her as fast as it can. But yeah, like by the end of this, Annie's pretty beaten up, and she doesn't want to fight anymore. She's just pretty much gone through hell underwater with Big Mother. It was a brutal issue. I mean, then she rips her way out of the stomach, and then friggin' Big Mother's head gets friggin' chopped off. But yeah, like also too, I want to point out like the dialogue too, because like Big Mother, she's really wants to corrupt the Scream symbiote, bring it back into the hive mind.
Mama's pissed.
And Scream is like saying, no, I don't want to be with you. I want to be with Andy. You're nothing but an evil ancient symbiote that wants to use me, right? So it's like that whole scenery where she's got tricked, or no, I think Scream should grab like the towering construction wire and wrapped it around Big Mother's head, and then she pretty much decapitated herself. Like that was pretty
very good
cool.
Action scene, especially with Scream's hair like stabbing out her eyes from inside her mouth.
Yeah.
And also, not to mention this scene also I think is important note, shows why symbiotes don't have noses, because they are a structural weak point. But no, I mean,
it's definitely it's definitely a great issue. And then also to point out, in the end, the FBI are picking up.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. Yeah, I think it's adding some supporting cast to Andy.
Yeah, the FBI are apparently the government's symbiote task force. They're the ones that deal with the symbiote stuff, which is interesting because what I'm trying to remember, in Jerry Conway's Carnage series, was the team going after Carnage related to the FBI?
I'm not sure if they ever specifically said FBI. I think they just said it was like a government anti-symbiote task force. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is the same team. Like the same general idea, or some sort of similar branch of the government, which is behind this, because it makes sense with the fact that. And then they got Misty Knight, and they went after Doverton with Carnage USA and all that. So, and Cult of Carnage.
Yeah, because in the issue they did reference, Cult of Carnage, that the one shot. So yeah, it could be possible.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Aunt May as well, who also seems to be a new supporting character with and she straight up knows that she's Scream, and she's okay with it. Because this is not her first symbiote rodeo.
Because also I will say like that this was probably the best moment in the comic for me, having Aunt May being very nice to Andy and seeing her as a as a friend that she could use help and a place to stay. So that one panel where they're both hugging, that was really touching. So that was really nice.
I really look.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just say I really look forward to seeing Andy's supporting cast really flesh out, and I have my hopes of who might make some return appearances. Specifically, Jenna Cole would be nice to have.
Yeah, I saw some comments for Jenna, like especially like even that last page. I thought I saw some people hoping that other woman in the last page was Jenna.
Yeah.
For I'm gonna say one more thing, right? I'm glad they didn't straight up kill Big Mother off. Like, even with her head decapitated, she was still talking, and they even said, like, this won't be the end of her. So I think it'd be cool if she shows up when we have the inevitable big null event battle, or whatever is going to happen.
As soon as Scream pretty much pointed out that she's not dead, like, she can't die just because she got decapitated. She's a symbiote, right? So
yeah, there's all symbiote down there,
and she's connected to Null. So I have a feeling we will see Big Mother and Scream probably fight it out again when Null's big event arrives as like their.
I'm imagining like little text like the end of like a MC movie. It's like Big Mother will return.
All right. Well, anyways. Great series. Really, if you haven't read it or if you have any interest at all, definitely pick it up. It's getting a second arc, which is great, and hopefully we can keep it up so it gets a third arc.
It's solicited to what, 8 issues currently?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. We got
So yeah, now we have
next,
to
we
look
got
forward to with Punisher and Sandman apparently.
Yep. So I'm definitely interested to see what they do with that, because Punisher, or not Punisher, but Sandman has sort of had some good moments in recent years. Like, sure, he's been a villain, but there was the last time he showed up, I think, was in a Spectacular Spider-Man by Chip Zdarsky, when he basically was asking for, he was basically dying, and he like had a really nice moment with Spider-Man. So, I'm very interested to see how they play that.
All right. Well, that's it for our reviews. So before I wrap this up, I want to just make a quick note here that there's a lot of uncertainty going around regarding the comic industry and this whole epidemic. Lots of publishers are not going to be putting out physical books in the next couple of weeks because diamond distributors are closed, and it's up in the air right now whether they will continue publishing new comics digitally or if they're just going to suspend it overall. We will be here either way. We'll cover any new issues that we can. If we get them physically, digitally, I know I'll always get them digitally, so I'll always be on top of the newest issues. But we will try to adjust our schedule accordingly, and continue bringing you new content as it comes. Uh, so looking forward, right now we can say that we might have an episode next month to cover April's symbiote comic offerings. Um, but other than that, there's a new project coming up for the podcast starting May 9th. We're going to be doing a symbiote club reading club series where I will lead a reading club taking you through Venom's history from the very beginning and up until uh, Eddie first. Not he leaves the symbiote the first time because of the cancer thing. Because originally I had planned that this was going to be covering from the very beginning up till current comics, but it's seriously a lot of comics to cover, and I'm right now planning to go with a weekly format of covering 4 to 6 issues a week. So kind of basically one arc per week. And with the current plan from the beginning to when Eddie leaves the Venom symbiote the first time, that's going to take about a year at that schedule. So we're going to just start there and then see what happens afterwards. But yeah, starting May 9th, I'll be publishing a newsletter the week before, so you know what issues we're going to cover, and I'm going to see how we can make this more interactive with our community, maybe getting people onto the podcast so we can discuss these issues as we go. So still a lot of planning, but at least you have a date to look forward to. So, yeah, go ahead.
Also, I was going to say, for those listening, just remember, make sure you guys wash your hands, be safe, and we'll get through this pandemic together.
Yep. It's a good time to cover some old comics that you haven't read in a while, so get to it.
Stay home. Read comics.
Read comics, exactly. Alright, so you can listen to We Are Venomaniacs on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music and iTunes, Google Play Music, and YouTube. We can also be found on Twitter at WAV_podcast. Check out our Discord server where you can geek out with a community of Venomaniacs like us. And as always, thank you to my fellow co-hosts, Carlos and Tyler, for joining me today.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Happy to be here, especially when a dummy like Aaron isn't.
Aaron!
Yeah, you guys start coming on here, Aaron. Come on. All right, and thanks to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast under the TVS banner, and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs. And now, a word from one of our partners at The Collective, a network of superhero podcasts.
Face front, true believers, and riddle me this. Do you enjoy comics? Great. Well, you're already halfway there. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as listener and producer. My new weekly to bi-weekly show deals with the heroes that don't get enough credit. Street-level heroes like Daredevil, Moon Knight, Spider-Man, and the like. With a strong emphasis on stories that don't get quite enough credit either. Or perhaps are just plain goofy, with the occasional look into jumping on points for new readers who might be interested. I'm Ethan Ainsworth, and this is Knights, a Marvel podcast. Check me out on Podbean and iTunes.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe, but this podcast does put a smile on my face.